Hello and welcome to episode 390 of the DCP plus SideQuest podcast.
Round numbers.
Fran,
what up?
Harrowing week for you. Thank you, though.
Yeah.
I think we all, as a world, as an entire planet, owe you a thank you. You're the last guy to get COVID, and thanks for taking one on the chin.
Yes. For those who didn't know, I went to a wedding, and for the second time, only I did get COVID again. Thankfully, 4 days of not fun, and then fine now. So we're on
still
about
sound
day
sick.
10. Really? Don't tell me that.
It's a little bit. It's a little bit of a. Like I don't.
Like
a little bit of a thing. Yeah.
Thankfully, I don't feel it much, but you're right.
It's a little.
Yeah. I don't sound it.
I'm just gonna say that every time he gets on the show now. Friend, your voice sounds a little.
Red leather, yellow
it's more
leather,
important
blue
that
blood,
you're feeling better.
black blood.
Yeah,
I will say that is the almost primary reason I got out of doing weddings anymore. I was just like, that is just
COVID trap.
too dangerous now. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I don't
fun
blame
wedding,
you for that because people are not being super sanitary at weddings because there's a lot of alcohol involved.
Yes.
And when you're down in the South and you got people like, what are you doing wearing a mask? You don't need that, bro. And oh my gosh.
This is when you go, well, I actually have a deadly disease and don't want to spread it to everybody. So
yes.
Yeah.
I'm helping.
And in general, just it's funny how definitely even wearing a mask, I don't care because sometimes people just don't want to get sick and you realize you just get
that's
colds.
That's the thing, right? Yeah.
You know, it could be.
That's the other thing. Is it's not just COVID. I don't want to be sick, period. I don't want to be sick in general.
There's somebody out there, wow, you better get sick or your immune system is going to, and I'm like, yeah.
Being sick's not fun.
I have no problem being around people. But yeah, no, it was all good. Worked out fine in the end. Took a little break.
I'm glad we don't have to worry about COVID anymore. Thank God. Thank you for being the last guy to get COVID.
Not going to give it to you, Briar. You're okay.
Thank you. I was worried. Can you get COVID over Skype? Or Discord? I don't know.
Maybe. This quality microphone.
We're going to get flagged for misinformation on YouTube.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Do they still do that?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
That's funny. Well, how are you all doing? We didn't see you last week because it was a holiday. So
that's right. How was your
I'd
holiday?
like to be caught up on your life.
Yeah, how was everybody's holiday?
I made content for the first time in months.
Yeah.
Hey.
So that was nice. There's that feeling whenever you don't. I got a new job situation, so everything's been on hold for a little bit. But when you don't either stream or make content for a bit and you're about to post something, you're like, am I washed? Am I just boring now? You just start getting that imposter
syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah. I had that big time. I was not, I was like, oh, what? Do I really do this?
Yeah, it could be weird.
It all turned out
weird.
So at least you're editing. You're doing video stuff though in between. You're just doing it for a different channel.
Yeah.
When I don't post for a while, it's I kind of forget the rhythm and the workflow. So I got to kind of get myself back into it. And then I try and make a bunch of videos real quick so that I can kind of catch up. But then I go and fuck off for a couple more months and the whole process starts over again.
It is a muscle to be exercised for sure.
It is a muscle. I had a beautiful July 4th. We did a small little family cookout here, and then we did a big golf tournament, and then a big kayak trip, and then
oh wow,
yeah, we did.
Awesome.
It was a whole weekend was filled with awful weather. Sadly, it was hot.
Really?
Oh, it was hot and humid. It was hot and humid, and it just was mega storms. That would
raining.
Blow in.
Right.
Well, they would blow in and blow out pretty quick. So you didn't have to just wreck your whole day for it, but you had to everybody get to shelter real quick. But it was a pretty fun weekend anyway.
That's good.
Anybody else any barbecues or anything?
No, I don't celebrate July 4th. Literally none of us as citizens. Who cares? Probably would have been better staying off with England anyway.
I was sick.
I went to see the Final Fantasy concert on Sunday.
Oh, how was that?
So this was the Distant Worlds one where they're not specifically, but this was their first time doing Final Fantasy 16 music. And they had Soken there, who's the composer. So he was there. They had the singer there. Amanda was also there. So it was really, really, really cool. So you got to see think they did like three or four songs from Final Fantasy 16, and then it's the first time they've performed them. And then they had some Final Fantasy 14 in there because Soken's also the composer for that. And then at the beginning, they did Final Fantasy 8. They had some 9, 10. They always do Sephiroth because they just have to have Sephiroth every single time.
Of course they do.
Naturally. But yeah, it was really good. And I got a cocktail, a Phoenix Down cocktail.
Okay.
Ooh.
That sounds good.
It was like
That's delightful.
vodka, Sprite, pineapple juice, and then I forgot the thing that makes it red. But there's just a little
Red
bit
Bull.
of something that makes it.
Grenadine, probably.
Oh, it's probably that. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. It was
I
really
wish it
good.
was Campari, but
Yeah.
It was really good.
I just had a cocktail this weekend with Campari in it. I think it's the first time I've had Campari in probably 20 years.
Did you get a Negroni?
I think it was a Negroni, actually.
look a Fran.
And the only way I could have remembered what it was called is if you said it first, because there's no way I was
Yeah.
coming up with Negroni.
Yeah, there's
on
no
my
way
own.
I can remember what it is.
But it was
But I
delicious.
just
Campari.
looked and I was like, Phoenix Down. Well, I have to get it.
Yeah,
I'm just sitting
absolutely.
here waiting for it. And gotta get a
Did you
Phoenix
feel
Down
revived or refreshed after you drank it?
I felt drunk after like a quarter.
It's the opposite of.
So I got
more
another
like-
one in the break.
It,
It was great.
instead of like the Phoenix Down, it was like Phoenix Down.
There's a Phoenix down. Well, that sounds lovely.
No, it
I
was
would like to
yeah,
go
it
to
was-
a Final
it was
Fantasy
really
concert.
good.
If there was one around here, I would go.
I would
be-
assume they have them around there because they do different tour dates all the time. Like this one was only in 3 places, whereas they have some that go everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I probably would
Disney
have to
World's
drive
kinda
to
goes everywhere.
Boston or New York, right? I'm guessing.
Maybe. They had
Probably.
the 16 one in New York. That was their first show.
Oh, really?
And they had Ben Starr there, the voice of Clive. Yeah.
I actually saw Ben Starr at this wedding, by the way, so maybe
did
he
you?
gave me
What a
the
small world.
sickness.
Oh,
has been
Ben
traveling
Starr
a
gave
lot.
you the
The
death.
sickness.
Yeah,
When
we're
we
gonna
get-
stop using it now because
seems
it's
great.
out. That's good.
He seemed great.
No, Ben's great.
Yeah, he was there at the New York one. And they had a section where Soken was there with a PlayStation controller. And he's like, this is not for me to control like the screen. This is L3, R3, accept the truth. Because in Final Fantasy 16, you press those 2 buttons to accept the truth that you're,
Mm.
you know, Ifrit. And then yeah, the only time that they actually had voiceover for it was they had the voice of the game, Clive, talking about accepting the truth and all that, and then they played Find the Flame, which is such an incredible song. It's so good. And seeing it live is crazy. And in Seattle, we're very lucky because we have an actual pipe organ in the theater. A lot of places don't. So we got to have Final Fantasy, I think it was 6, Final Fantasy 6, where they had a pipe organ soloist,
Ooh.
which was really
That
cool.
must have been dope.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Man,
It was
you got
great.
so many games to go back to, and it's like they've always been known for amazing music, even when it was chiptunes.
Yeah.
It's just like the depth that they could cover. It's like going to like a Led Zeppelin concert. There's just so many songs they could play, or like Pink Floyd or something. It's just so
Deep
deep.
cuts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Incredible. Highly recommend it if you can ever go, just because the music is so good to hear live.
Yeah.
So good.
Cool. What'd you do,
That's
Lego?
what I did.
What kind of mess did you get up to?
I watched my son started learning how to swim, so that was awesome.
Oh, boy.
Like we just been like,
Did you just chuck him in the
mess-
pool and like get at it, kid?
pretty much, yeah.
That's what they
Babies
say.
are so funny when you throw them in pools.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Because
he
they forget to swim. They just get
I don't
it. It's
understand
so
how they do it. We thought we were gonna do something like that at first, but it's so expensive to do like baby swimming lessons and stuff. And we're like,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. We just like worked with him every summer in the pool, and like just this past week he just took off, and I was just like, this is crazy. All of a sudden he's going underwater, jumping off. He's like cannonball, jumping off the
Nice.
deep end, swimming back to the edge. I'm like, okay,
I'm so jealous.
We're
of
there.
children and their learning speed.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
yeah. It's
And
crazy.
also they're like their fearlessness because they
Their energy.
don't have the scar tissue
Oh, yeah.
yet. You know, like,
Yeah.
out on the concrete.
Their body not hurting all the time.
yeah, yeah, that especially.
Damn children.
Next thing I know, he's gonna be picking up a fusion rifle. Just
Yep.
Stepping in the maybe we'll get a YouTube
Beating
channel.
your scores.
No.
That's when it's gonna really hit you.
yeah.
Like, been surpassed.
We are what they surpass. I
Yep.
can't remember what. That was a Star Wars quote, I think, or something. Maybe it's Black Panther.
Do they still do like the floaties around the arms for kids? Do you remember those?
Yes,
maybe?
that's what we started with, and
Yeah.
then we used like a life jacket thing, and then we just started like trying not to use it. It's funny because like they're scared of it at first, but like they see you do something cool. You're like, look, I can do a flip underwater, and they're like, oh, I want to do that. Let me take off the life jacket.
That's great. I love that. All right. Well, we got some Destiny stuff. We got some other game stuff. I know, Watts, you were playing. I'm sorry. What was the game called again? I forgot already.
Once Human.
Once Human today.
Yeah.
I talked to Tefty. Tefty's playing a little Elden Ring DLC.
Ooh.
Oh, is he?
Yes, he is. He says it's hard, and he's kind of mad about it.
Did he really say he's mad about it?
Yeah.
Can we get a Tefty appearance after he finishes just to talk about it? Just for one show, just to talk about it.
He really, it's really hard, he says. Like, it's really hard. And he famously
how far in he is?
didn't like upgrade his life bar.
He didn't.
In like the main game.
Yes, if you
Like,
guys
added
don't
no
know,
points to
he
stamina.
did not add points to his vigor like at all. Like not a single
I remember
point.
when he played that he stuck to that a really long time.
He did, and then
I was like, yeah, like
changed
that's
it.
the way to make the game really hard. You can always adjust.
Yeah.
So he stuck to that through the DLC, you're saying?
I don't know. I didn't ask him
Oh.
because I kind of forgot that he did that, and now it makes sense why it might be a little harder for him because if he's still using that character with like 20
I think
health.
he switched at the end. I think he switched
he?
from Melania. I think he was like, yeah, I think I need more health for this.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Well, I'm glad he's gaming because I know he hasn't had a lot of time to play games. There's a bunch of games he's kind of not been able to get around to because of how busy he is.
Yeah.
That is
And
good
for all the
to know.
Spotify listeners, he's working on the Spotify thing. He's working on that to try and get that fixed. There is like a second playlist. It's weird. This has happened before.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Well, I did get to play some Iron Banner. I've been playing that. I have thoughts though. I'm curious if y'all have any thoughts about this 2-week thing because we knew it was weird going into it.
Yeah.
In Destiny, and I feel like now that it's here, it feels really off. Like I was just gonna roll with it just to see how it felt, but now that it's here, it feels like it should be more of an event if it's gonna be 2 weeks long. And then they
Makes
mentioned
sense.
today in the TWAB actually, it's not gonna be around for like months after this. They said, and so
They said months in the 12?
yeah, like it's like a long time. Yeah, so.
That's really weird.
Yeah, I know.
Especially as they
Yeah.
didn't.
Couple of months, yeah.
Especially as they didn't say so before it came. Because like I feel like if you said we've got 2 weeks of Iron Banner, it's not going to be returning for a couple months. People would go, oh, okay, so I got 2 weeks to play.
Mhm.
I don't know if
They
they
said
did
so
before.
on Twitter, but
I think they
not
said
in
it was
the
going to come
TWAB.
less frequently, but I don't think they said
Yeah.
months.
They didn't.
Yeah, it's the
specify.
same amount of banner. However, it's just condensed, right? And so
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know if they said that it'd be a couple months. That would put it, I think, at the end of Act 3 is how I would read into that. Maybe actually,
Yeah, it says this is the final weekend of Iron Banner for a couple months.
Actually, a couple months.
Oof.
Yeah, that would probably be at the end of.
Couple months,
Act
kind of
3.
crazy.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy,
So-
and that's why I'm
It's
like,
kinda
well,
crazy.
why is it not,
So-
like a bigger deal? It feels like,
Well, let's break that into two things, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
You want it to be more of an event because it's 2 weeks. Like, is it not just because of what Banner
It's
is?
literally
and you're remembering what
bigger
it is.
Event by 2.
Yeah,
Twice
I mean,
as big as last time.
well, it's back to back. It's still the same amount of Banner. So that's what
Yes.
I'm wondering. If you knew in the back of your mind, you're like, well, I normally accomplish the same amount. This is how much I play. Now I'm just doing it 2 weeks in a row, I guess.
It doesn't. So here's
has
my.
it always needed to be more?
I think that my take's gonna be probably not the everyman's take because I I don't enjoy sixes as much as other people for one, so automatically.
Mhm.
But I have enjoyed Iron Banner in the past when it was less skill based, and so now that it is, like I just had several matches where I'm trying to like I don't play it seriously. I have like like a 2.0 higher in trials, but when I play Iron Banner, I've got like a 1.0. Like I do not take it seriously, and I'm trying to like do these crazy damage stacking things, and then my opponent, right when I get it working, is lagging across the map, and I screw everything up, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like I'm just here to have fun, and
Mm.
I can't have fun. Just that's the way my
Yeah, the
matches were
invisibility
going.
bug too.
Yeah, I haven't experienced as much of that, but just like some
Yeah,
of
it's
the
pretty
extra
rough.
lag and just how hard you have to try if you are playing, that's the way it has felt for me. And I don't want to be that person to just constantly nag on that part of it. But when you make it 2 weeks long and you don't have the normal like
Yep.
trials connection based thing you're used to for 2 weeks, it's just I want something else there. Like I
It's
even like
rough.
some of the Iron Banner stuff is some of the best stuff, but there's
Mhm.
the roles are so difficult to get because there's no double perk options. There's no way to like increase. There's no event,
You just got to get engrams.
mechanics to increase anything other than reputation. And to me, it just feels like it needs a little more than that if they're going to make it last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree with that. I think one of the biggest issues is like what you said about how you don't have trials there. It's also taking like a node away from regular Crucible, right? So if there's 2 weeks of modes that you don't like, you just have Iron Banner as like your
Yeah.
option.
Not only
And
that, but
that's
even
yeah,
right now, Watts, they don't have labs either, which is normally in
they
that
don't
spot.
have
And so
labs.
it's like
Yeah.
two different
It's
connection,
taking away a lot of things. Yeah, it really is. So to have that consistently be like that for 2 weeks, it's quite a long time. And then you don't have months of Iron Banner. So God forbid if you're not home for those 2 weeks, then it seems a little strange. It seems a
That's
little
true.
out of
Yeah.
whack.
Yeah, I
A
have
little
to
out of whack.
imagine if you're more so a PvP player or you are just a PvP player by main, then yeah, it probably feels very different. I'm on the other side where I predominantly play PvE, and then, I've always played PvP some, but it's usually not really in my rotation unless I'm feeling like there's a great reward that I need, or like, yeah, I
Mm.
usually always check out a few rounds of Banner. In this case, my perspective is different because I'm like, oh, it comes at a great time to be 2 weeks, putting aside these
Mm.
issues, because of the pinnacle rewards, and everybody's trying to power up. And so to have 2 full weeks with tons of pinnacles, tons of easy drops, so to speak. Now
Yeah.
you want to have fun doing it, but it's quite rewarding in that aspect. And I was
That
actually
makes more
surprised
sense.
that the rewards themselves, which I sort of went in blind to. I don't know how much we knew beforehand anyway, but I was like, ooh, there's some like nice little PvE rolls in here. I mean, it's a lot of strand stuff, that usually pops out at me. But I think it is the auto rifle, lethal abundance or whatever. I was like, oh, this one's pretty nice. It's got some nice rolls. I mean, auto rifles aren't as much in play yet because there's no whatever anti-barrier, unstoppable version of it or whatever. But that time will come, for all we know in Act 3.
I
But yeah, to finish that thought, I played the first week though. I got all my pinnacles. I realized that's what was driving me, and I
What was your
got actually
pinnacles? Yeah.
a few decent lethal abundance rolls. And I was like, well, I could. There's more that I might want, but I have plenty to do on the other side, like try to get into the raid or other stuff. So I'm not like playing it a ton.
I like that other side of it because I feel like I was missing that component of the pinnacle stuff, and that makes a whole lot more sense. Because my mind is so not on the power grind. I'm just like I'm just here to have fun and get weapons, and that's it. And so to
Yeah.
bring up the power grind, I'm like, oh yeah, that is kind of important because it has been very frustrating playing trials at lower power than everybody else. So yeah, good point. I am going to pursue that. I think the coming week. So thank you for that perspective, Fran.
Yeah, but I'm very different. I assume
Yeah.
you play PvP a lot more than I do, so it hits in different ways.
Yeah, I
I,
appreciate both takes, and I still like my opinion maintains the feeling of it, but it does give me some other perspective and some new ways
mm,
to enjoy it. So at least I
yeah,
got that.
that's good. Well, you got another 5 or 6 days or whatever.
Yep.
I've
You
not
like it.
played Iron Banner. Tomo played Iron Banner. He got
Nice.
the tusk of the boar he wanted, so he's happy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, Tusk of the Boar. I would like a
Mhm.
decent Tusk of the Boar.
Yeah, I mean, I actually maybe it was because of the final banner drop. So I've hit my 2,000 base, and I didn't also go in with a ton of like bounties saved or anything. So I don't have like a ton of artifact power. I might be at 11 or 12 or something, maybe more. But yeah, so that was again, it sort of did its purpose for me, and it's there if I'm looking to bounce around. But maybe to finish that thought, I think for years I just feel like we keep hearing like banner still needs more identity, and I definitely agree with that. Like the rewards are kind of in better line, and like, but I feel like it's just kind of funneling everybody into this PvP mode. They got rid of the power cap stuff, and now it takes away like attention from stuff like trials and that, which they take out of rotation. And so yeah, they tried Rift right to make it feel like it was more unique, and then now we're just kind of back to like it's control and other various stuff. I don't know. Yeah, I do feel like Banner's been around so long, it could really use a uniqueness to it.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be.
Yeah, I hope to see something like that outside, because they've never really pursued that. They've never really they've pursued different like game modes and different ways to approach the matchmaking, and then the frequency at which loot drops, but they've never gone and like made the event more aesthetically pleasing, like to
Right.
fit a theme like they do the other events. And it would be really interesting to see them do that, like something like the Dawning and those kind of events where they're a little bit bigger, but this one would come around more frequently and be shorter. And I don't know, I think it would be cool to see them try that route rather than just keep switching the mode that we're playing or the matchmaking. But give us some more options for like actually getting double perk rolls and something that's a little more themed in the tower.
You know what they need to do? There's a random Fran thought. You're in the middle of like trials and like doing your runs, or maybe you're just on like labs, and like all of a sudden it's like a special like Saladin loading screen. It's like the banner appears, and like you load into a banner match out of nowhere, and that's your only chance across any time. It never appears except when he pulls you in.
I love that.
It's like the Vex incursions.
Wow.
Yeah, the Vex incursions on Neomuna, but for PvP. Like something that just comes up and you're like, oh, it's just on right now. We got to do it.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Then people would be excited. They're like, because because they would starve you from ever having access. But you could always, go to at the end of the match too. It'll be like in a raid where you have a moment with the vendor to make your decisions.
Even if they didn't do that for Iron Banner, I think they should do that for just like they should make a new event.
They should do that for the 9.
Like they pull you in, like you don't even get the choice, right? You're just sucked in, and like you're in this match, win or lose. It's your only shot for who knows how long.
Yeah,
that's a great idea. It'd be so exciting.
I feel like that fits the 9 really well.
That'd be fun.
I think it does too, actually.
Ooh,
like maybe you get it twice a week. Maybe you don't see it for like a month.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's some reasons that's a terrible idea, but
yeah, I'm sure
it sounds
people
fun,
would
right?
be so bad. Like I haven't gotten into it. Fucking.
I can't
played
play
this game 100 hours.
Yeah. Like I roll with a stacked team. Well, you never would be able to get your team together. There's number one, but it doesn't work.
Anyway. Yeah, would it pull in like your whole fire team, or would it just pull in like you just get like
it actually calls them and texts them and like wakes them up?
No, I mean like if you're in a fire team doing strikes and like you all of a sudden you're like between strikes, does it pull in your whole fire team? Or does it just yank you out of your fire team? Because I think that would piss people off if it yanked you out of your fire team.
No, yeah. It would keep you in your fire.
Yeah, I love that idea. I think that'd be really fun.
There's something there for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, the only reason I'm not going to be doing a lot more Iron Banner this week, even though I do need power level, is because I have a feeling I am going to be looking at some of the other new FPS games that are coming out.
Oh, like what?
Gonna be
talk
beta.
to us. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, I wish I could, but I don't know. I'm just gonna have to wait till
like
the game
the next
comes
Doom
out.
comes out. You mean, or like he's looking up the next like
no Concord.
Oh, your theme. I didn't hear that part. I'm sorry.
The Concord beta starts tomorrow.
Oh, it does?
It is, yeah.
So this is like the pre-order beta. Although if you're on PlayStation and you have like PlayStation Plus, you can play it tomorrow. So you don't need to pre-order if you're on PlayStation.
I don't know if I have PlayStation Plus.
It is going to be on PC as well. I think we might even still have some codes available. So if you are interested in PC, I'm sure we can find you a code. But yeah, Concord is having their beta, and they have all of the characters available. They don't have all of the maps, but they had their community manager kind of go over what's going to be available, and you have quite a substantial amount that you're going to be able to mess around with. So
16 characters alone across 4 maps, I think.
Yeah, it's quite hefty. So
all at the same time.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, Overwatch, whatever, but they will launch with all those, I believe, at your disposal.
In the beta?
Yeah, they're having them all available in the beta.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's early access beta for those who pre-ordered. I think some PlayStation Plus members and stuff this weekend, and open beta is next weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, open beta is next weekend. So even
Game
if
comes
you,
out
you know,
this month or next month?
Next month.
Next month.
Yeah, August. It's coming up real soon. Real soon.
I'm just so excited to see what it feels like. It's one of those games where, like, all the stuff. There's a lot of Bungie devs that are working there now, and it just has a lot of the gunplay feel and ability feel from Destiny, but also mixed in with all this hero stuff and a bunch of new things, and also some things that Bungie has kind of left behind and these people move forward with. And so I'm just so curious. Really, it's going to come down to how it feels, So that's what's got me really excited about this weekend.
I mean, I'm super excited for that because we know who's working there. You've got Hamrick there, you've got Noose, you've got Cloud. Like, these are people, if you guys don't know, that are responsible for like guns and sandbox of Destiny. And some of them were there right at the beginning, making guns and sandbox feel as good as it does in Destiny. So as someone who has loved Destiny PvP, I'm definitely looking forward to trying it myself because of all of that. Because the possibility of it just feeling really good is pretty high. So I do have pretty high expectations as well for them because they do have such a high pedigree of people. But yeah, definitely want to experience it for myself. And I would love to also play it on PC and play it on PlayStation and see if it feels the same with controller, keyboard, and mouse. I'd like to do both. But yeah, I'm gonna be playing it tomorrow. We're gonna try it out.
Do you know? Is it crossplay?
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, it is.
It is?
Yeah,
it
they
is.
did. They did mention that. Yeah,
yes.
you're right. Yeah.
Good.
They did.
That's the big thing.
We can all play
controller
together.
cheaters are gonna be messing up my sacred keyboard and mouse setup.
You do gotta have your PlayStation accounts ready.
You
Remember, for this
controller
one, so.
cheaters.
We should have a DCP Concord get together.
Oh, we should do that. Let's do that.
That'd be fun.
Let's do it. I'll be playing it.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, it's funny with all the Destiny DNA, I think we've seen, and it in our minds might feel that way, but it's also important to remember, I think it might be like Unreal Engine 5 or something, and like, I don't know of any other arena shooters in Unreal Engine 5 yet. I'm sure there are some, but I think if regardless, it's not a Tiger or whatever Destiny's on. It would be very big differences in the way that it feels, no doubt. Very curious, because those little things, that's what makes a game feel like it feels, in addition to the many other decisions, right? So that's where I'm very curious to get my hands on it.
It's a lot of characters to play for just a small amount of time, too. 16 characters.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're not doing we'll unlock 4 for the beta, or
they're
4
really
on
showing
Saturday,
it all.
4 on or a different 4 on Sunday or something like that.
I think they're just really focused on, we want you to see the entirety of our game pretty much, so you can see what we have going on, because they know it's going to be a hard sell. They're not stupid. I'm sure they know it's going to be a tough sell, and it's I don't know. I want to experience it for myself.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, if it's a true beta, it's super important to put that stuff out there. Like, you want feedback. Like, did I try this character? You hopefully
it's not a true beta. A true beta would have happened a year ago, right?
Well,
this is a
I don't
demo.
know about true, but proper. I don't think it's unreasonable a month before to do a beta, knowing that you just sort of need to balance stuff versus like early access betas, which are very different, which changes the course of the game in a lot of ways. But yeah, I mean, you know me, I'm behind. I prefer that, and I've even said I'll pay for that. Like, I would have paid $8, to be part of an early access that I have to pay the $40 again.
Why are you always trying
whatever
to cost us money?
I'm just saying, I really do support early access stuff to get, shout out to Anthem. I'm always like, man, if you would have just early access beta that instead of what you did and stuck with it knowingly for a year and a half to fix things, I think we'd be in a different place.
Fix what? That game was perfect.
It was a trick question. Well done, Briar. The jabs.
I want to throw out there too. This is like the best time to play a game is when it is first launching and no one knows what the heck is going on or like what abilities do. It's always the most fun. Yeah, because no one's figured out the meta. Everyone's just screwing around. And whenever you're like, imagine Destiny if there was no meta and everybody was just using a different gun from Destiny's past, like it would just be great. It would be awesome. And that's what new games feel like whenever you first
agree.
Correction. This is the second best time. The best time is actually December 25th when a bunch of new players are experiencing that, but you know exactly
before
what's
they
going on.
added skill-based matchmaking.
Blueberries.
You bring in those Christmas noobs, boy, and here we go.
Right.
Christmas noobs don't exist anymore.
You heard it here first.
You're right.
Lego and TrueVanguard, they're not going to be ruining the meta for anybody anymore. Not going to put that info out there. They don't want to ruin the game for everybody like they do. It's a joke about content creators actually affecting the meta, which that's not really a thing. It's just everybody
it's definitely
wants to point to somebody for speaking up.
Vanguard
The entirety of Reddit
ruining
was
the meta.
already talking about something. It's like, oh, but you did a video on it. It's like, I'm pretty sure Bungie already knew.
So we'll be able to see what Concord's all about real soon. Tomorrow we'll be able to see what it feels like.
Yeah, I think 10 a.m. Pacific time. I think
10 a.m. is when it launches.
I will say I won't be playing until nighttime because I got to go see Longlegs, the
I've heard
movie
about
coming
that.
out with Nick Cage. Nick Cage is in it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's all this hype around it. It's like the most hype I've seen for a horror movie.
This is supposed to be like
quite a
really
while.
scary, right? Like real scary.
The commercials for it and the ads that they've been doing have been insane. Like there's so much hype behind it. I really hope it doesn't disappoint because
I haven't seen a trailer. I got to check it out now.
It's pretty cool. Like when they first released stuff for it, it was like real ominous and like didn't even have the name of the movie. Like it was just like a scary shot of like I don't even know what, like a murder scene or something, and then it like cut to black and you didn't even say the name. And it's like slowly revealed more and more as the movies come closer to being out. Very exciting.
That dude's had the craziest career.
Oh yeah.
Get the sense he's pretty crazy.
That's fair. Didn't his son? I think I read his son just got arrested for assault. Actually.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Anyhow, was there a new vid doc for Destiny?
There was a stream.
A stream.
There was
sorry.
a stream,
Yeah.
wasn't there?
There's been a
There
lot of
was
Destiny news in the
indeed.
last 2 weeks, actually.
Yeah. I feel like the main takeaway from that stream, though, was the announcement that you're going to be able to play all the story content right away.
Definitely. That was a big thing for me. Yeah. So for those who don't know and weren't following, they announced that for the next episode, so not this episode, this one's going to remain the same. But for episode 2, they're going to release all story content at once, and you can play it every week if you want to stick to that cadence. You can, try and finish it as fast as possible.
Oh man, I think that's so smart.
For each act, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Because it the way that it's gotten out there, I'm pretty sure I didn't get that wrong or anything. Because everybody starts, they're going to release all the story at once. And that is not the case.
Yeah.
Doing a little math, right? You're getting 66.6% more story each act based on this. In other words, if it's 3 weeks of story, which I think is what we got in Act 1, now you get, I think, all 3 acts you get all 3 weeks of Act 1 at once. You're still gated until Act 2. And they're just trying this for the next episode.
Which I'm really curious to see how this plays out, given that like the new activity they showed off during that live stream was called Battlegrounds. And it's, I mean, we've had Battlegrounds before, but this is just a different one. And so anyway, there's 2 new Battlegrounds that are available July 16th, but there's a third core that's available the following week, July 23rd. And I'm like, usually those are connected to the story. So how are you going to be able to do all the story at once? And it's like disconnected from the other content. That's
I missed that. Did they say that in
it's in the TWAB. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I
Yeah.
was assuming that it would be all 3.
No, it's very confusing because, like, yes, you'll be able to do all the story content, but not all the activity content. And and maybe even weapons, I don't know either. It's just the story stuff. So I don't know. Like, I think there are a lot of people that are really gonna like this, and I might enjoy it too. Like, I really like getting through all the story first. But to me, the part that holds me up is when there's like a weapon that's coming out in 2 weeks, and I know it's
Yeah.
coming, and I'm like, I just want the thing.
Okay, wait,
Um,
yeah. That's sandwiched between this screenshot and the other screenshot. I totally
Yeah.
missed it. First 2 battlegrounds, Delve and Conduit, which is episode Act 2 launch on July 16th, and on July 23rd. So it's a week apart. And you're right. How do they have the third one without the story being withheld?
Yeah.
That's weird. Yeah, and so I think that's really a super important note, right? Because you have a situation where it's like, well, you do get all the story, apparently, but you are going to not get all the content of Act 2.
Yes.
It's interesting.
It is. I'm curious in this whole thing, more experimenting that they're trying, and so I'm all for them doing something different. And we'll just see how it plays out. It's kind of how I'm feeling about it. Just be aware that you're not getting all the content right away. You're getting all the story content right away.
Yeah, I mean, when you break it down like that too, it's sort of like people have been asking for this. Briar wants it all at once, I believe, right? He's always said that.
Yeah, I cannot stand the weekly
play it.
drip feed.
Yeah, you just
Well,
know
I'm
it's
now
there.
in that camp because I don't know if I'm going to be returning to this episode. Whereas like when I was playing and we're doing the episode and it's going and we got all the new stuff, it's like, okay, I'm in and I'm invested and I'm ready to like do the stuff. But then when I leave and it's like I come back and they want me to do public events for 1 week, I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And then I end up just not coming back. Whereas if I'm there right at a new seasonal launch, episode launch, it makes it feel like a bigger content drop and more of an event that's happening rather than just like, oh, I'm going to play for an hour or 2 hours and then be done for however long. So for people like me, it will definitely make me play more of Destiny because as soon as it drops, I can get in there. I'm excited for the new drop and I have a good chunk of content to do.
Yeah, you're not being strung along week to week just to get that story that you may not come back for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes when I log into Destiny, I don't want to be told what to do. I just want to do what I want to do. Like maybe I just want to hang out in the Crucible for 2 hours and not like kind of be told what I need to be doing.
Right. Okay. In correction, by the way, sorry, I think of a COVID brain fart here. Episode 2, which is like October 15th or something like that. That's when this new system drops. We were noting how there's these battlegrounds coming. That is not happening next week, which we just said, but like there's a lot of there's been interviews out there. Again, see, this is kind of easy to mix up with Act 2 is next week. The story is you are not getting this structure next week. You're not getting it until like into October or whenever Revenant drops. But make sure we're clear on that.
Good clarification. Yeah, thank you for that.
And so for this though, okay. So now we just want to parse through, okay, we get 2 battlegrounds starting next week, the third one the following week. That probably is very much tied to the story, chasing this Radiolaria to the center of Nessus through these battlegrounds is the way they laid it out.
That was my bad. I presented that wrong. Yeah, you're right.
Maybe it was. I mean, I got confused too. So easy to cross those wires. Those conduits, if you will.
I take no responsibility.
I love the off-camera audio. Is perfect for that one. So let's go back to the preview of this act. But that was the biggest news was for episode 2, Revenant. Everybody's talking about it again, and I think it's easy to confuse that.
It's really confusing though that they would even talk about that this is a Echoes Act 2 live stream, but they were talking about Revenant for a little bit.
Right. I think to be fair, my guess is they felt very pressured because of everybody's feedback on the first act. So I think they felt pressure to be like, maybe also they made this change recently. We don't know. That could have been in response to things not feeling different enough. Maybe they planned this for a long time. So I think they felt pressure to say, oh, by the way, for Revenant, here's a big change coming. So if you don't feel that episodes and acts are like quite different enough, or you don't get them yet, we'll know that we're also going to do something like, release each act. We'll get all the story at once.
Yeah.
But for next week, Act 2, there was a number of big notes about it. But the biggest stuff was, we are getting new activity. It's 3 new battlegrounds. And I am glad you brought it up, though. 2 battlegrounds, followed by the next week, which will have the 3rd battleground seemingly in the center of Nessus. And they talked about it being very, almost one and the same, quote, with strikes. So that was kind of, they get that they're very similar, and they wanted to lean more into that. They also noted almost 40 enemies on the screen at one time, which especially for Prismatic will give you more opportunities to kind of feel that power. So they're battlegrounds, though, like you were saying, we've had this before, but I'm happy, right? When you think of, they said new geography, new art, right? Although what they showed, you sort of started in an area you're familiar with, it goes out into these new battlegrounds and new geo, as they put it. So I'm excited about that. It's just always nice to see a new site versus, dragging us back through the same geometry.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was big. They also noted we're going to be revisiting one of Destiny's most storied locations. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And I think they said even briefly, but they did kind of with a glint in their eye, like, you're going to be revisiting it. So I don't know where that might be, but look forward to that.
That was interesting. I had forgotten about that part.
Yeah. And then they also previewed a few new weapons to get people excited about, as well as the new artifact row that you're getting.
I am excited for all these weapons. I remember there was something about the new Burst Pulse. It's like the one from Trials, except it is Arc and it's Vexy themed. And there was something about it that I was really excited about, but I can't remember the perk poll right now. Because you can look at all the perks right now if you go to D2.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like you can go to all the sites that have perk pickers and go ahead and select the ones you're looking for.
I have it right here. I mean, what do you normally like? Not air trigger, right? Eddy current, pugilist, perpetual, high impact reserves, volt shot, one for all. Those are most of them.
Yeah, there was one that had something in the. It's interesting that it has high impact reserves in the left column, and then you can stack it with another damage perk, like one for all or something on the right column. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I also think that High Ground is like the most slept on perk this season. People are starting to pick it up a little bit, but yeah, it's like in PvE 25% extra damage just for being above somebody. And it lasts for like 7 seconds once you tick someone once. So you can like get on the ground afterwards and keep it rolling. If you get a kill, it like keeps it going at that ×3 as well. So yeah, there's just interesting stuff in there. I'm pretty sure High Ground, high impact reserves was something I was looking at specifically. But one for all is also really crazy good. And then you've got the one that everybody's excited about, which is the rocket assisted sidearm. Like everyone's gonna
that one
want
did
that
look
thing.
great.
A solar, really so that'll give us. We have an arc with indebted kindness. The call is the strand one that we just got, and then this would add solar. So we'll still be missing void and stasis, but I bet they're coming.
Hail clip incandescent, hail clip golden tricorn demo. It's got all the stuff. It's gonna be
That's the thing that actually I thought, in particular with heal clip. I mean, unless you have like a lot of reloader perks and stuff on, because heal clip tends to take over. I think a number. I mean, depending on the role, like where you might have rapid hit or whatever for reload.
Yeah.
But rocket stars don't usually take that long to reload, so that seems like it's going to be really powerful. To have heal clip incandescent kind of thing.
I think all these guns are going to be strong in some way or another. Yeah, they're all going to be really good guns. And speaking of good guns, another thing they brought up is not just the weapons, but they just threw it out there. Chris Proctor was on the live stream and he threw it out there at one point. And I'm glad they mentioned it here. There's like a bunch of little tweaks and stuff coming. The Still Hunt is getting a small nerf, I think, and there's some other armor stuff that's getting adjusted. But on top of all that, they threw it at the very end. he was like, "Oh yeah, and adept armor mods are removing stat penalties from adept mods," which I have been just
Right. Yeah,
like
yeah.
proclaiming for like years now. Like, please, why do some of these mods take away stuff no one's ever using on them? So all my fusion rifles that are adept are about to get a big boost because I already run adept targeting on them all because I think stability is a joke on fusion rifles. And and so now it's just like going to be a huge buff to anyone that wants to run adept. I think handling might, maybe even, I don't know, but adept targeting for sure is the one that comes to mind for me. I'm going to be using that all the time on everything.
Yeah.
Uh,
They had. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say a lot of the other changes they bring up in the TWAB balance and mod stuff that they, I don't think they covered all this in the live stream, but they're looking at swarm grenades and threaded specter and all the stuff in PvP that's been frustrating, but it's not coming
Mm-hmm.
till August.
Ooh, that is a
Uh,
while, actually. Yeah.
yeah, and so I'm like, this is kind of a
Maybe
bummer.
that's
And
with
maybe
Act
even
3.
the depth mod changes. It was kind of unclear if that was falling into that category or not. But kind of a bummer to see it take a little bit longer because that stuff's been hot for a while now since
It
Final Shape
has,
dropped.
yeah.
Oh yeah, they say early August. Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are excited about MPVE, the tech scout rifles, specifically DMT, I
Mhm.
believe.
That's true. Yeah, they're all getting a bit of a boost.
30%.
They're really fun to use, so I'm glad they're doing that because they're just super fun weapons. And sometimes it's nice to just have a fun weapon that actually does something instead of it being just a drain on your team.
Yep.
So that is nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't used DMT and PVE in forever. Maybe part of it's for what the roles are and the feel of it. But yeah, this would probably get me to check it out again because I have a couple roles of it. Another really big one, I think, maybe even for, I don't know if controller players feel this even more, but they're reducing flinch for sniper rifles in half
Yeah.
in
Wow.
PVE.
In
50%.
PvE.
Oh.
PVE.
They could do a little bit of that in PvP as well. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I
Using
would
a
like that as
sniper in
well.
PvP is just like I do think they've gone a bit too far.
I agree.
It's you get hit once and you're like, whoa, okay.
Especially because
Yeah.
there's some rifles that are so strong right now, like Vostov, even after the nerf, is still just punching so hard that if I'm using any like thing else, forget sniping, just like anything. I'm using a freaking like trace rifle and I still can't stay on them from the flinch from these primary weapons. So yeah, I'm with you, Watts.
Yeah.
A little
Especially for
crazy.
even like DPS in the witness and other stuff. It's like you're getting rocked. And so you really feel the flinch.
They've really gotten away from this idea that like weapons have to feel the same in PvE and PvP, huh?
Yeah.
They've really left that behind.
Remember when it used to, you're right, a long time, it was like, we made this change. There was no chance of it not affecting both.
Yeah.
So that's good, the split. I mean, they worked on this for many years now, being able to split this stuff up more. And even being able to split into, I think, different archetypes and sub-archetypes and stuff like that. Maybe on that last note of those little balance changes, another really big one is for 2 barrier shields. Ariana's Vow will get a huge buff, 67%. It just wasn't from an ammo economy perspective, as well as the damage, I think, just as useful anymore. So
they said it's going to be able to one-shot barrier champions, they think, most of the time. So that's going to be a big deal. Just pop that out and pop.
Interesting.
I mean, and that's a perfect segue into these new artifact mods, because you're going to have snipers for barriers. So it would bring up the question, like, why use Ariana's Vow even, when you can put a sniper in that slot and use barrier. So yeah, should we maybe note what those are real fast?
Yeah.
You're getting a new row. That's the big change with episodes. One of them is you get a brand new row of artifact mods. It's not replacing, it's an addition.
Yep.
Yeah, and they've got anti-barrier sniper rifle. They've got some scavenger mods, authorized scavenger mods, which are going to make the cost of those reduced. Incendiary rifle rounds, solar sniper rifle, precision hit scorch targets. That one's gonna be really cool. Especially, I was thinking for you know, like Invis, Stylus Executioner, Hunters,
Mm.
like you just scorch stuff with your sniper rifle. You grow an Invis after you kill it. That's pretty
That's
cool.
true. Yeah.
And you know, there's so much that can stack on top of that. And then Solar Fulmination, your ignition do increased damage and an increased radius. And now I'm thinking like, oh, add that onto the new Axial Lacuna fusion rifle that's solar with Incandescent, which I kind of dissed in my video this past week. But add this onto there's another artifact mod that lets all the pale heart weapons do an explosion whenever you like kill an enemy. And so, yeah, just you could like triple the explosion basically with that. That'd be interesting. And then column 5, Sniper's Meditation. And this is the big one everybody's talking about for Still Hunt, Whisper of the Worm. Sniper rifle hits grant stacking sniper rifle damage, stability, and reload bonuses for a short time. Heavy ammo sniper rifle hits count as more than one. So you're like getting more damage and reload bonus.
Yeah, and as they pretty much had noted, they're basically getting Whisper in line for this act, since it's a heavy as well, and I think they wanted to feel like it's truly back and really usable. So I think with all of these on, obviously, you'll probably see a lot more barrier out there, and it's not going to flinch as much. And so looks like they've been thinking about that.
Sniper's going to be hot PvE for sure.
Yep.
What do you think about that Solstice armor that they previewed?
I like that it's different, right? Like it's quite a bit different to other
is.
Solstice armor that we've had. So I do like that it's offering a different look. I thought it was pretty good. I think it looks like you're going to be able to mix and match it with other things quite easily, which I do always like when you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, we always know that as well. Solstice stuff is big on the ornamental glowiness and all that, and like looking at the concept art, I'm very curious to see like the hunter, you know. First of all, if you haven't seen it, it's got a very, I would say, like Rocketeer look, but they sort of this adventure from the, you know, 20s, 30s, whatever, you know, slightly baggier pants, a lot of leather straps and piloting type stuff, maybe. I don't know if you guys saw it that way. But but a lot of the classes have a lot of these like glowing compass, you know, floaty eyepieces and arm pieces for like navigating the universe kind of look. I think it could be really neat looking.
That's the part that I want to see is like, because I feel like on paper this is one thing, but actually seeing it with the glow and everything, I can't, like, my mind can't transpose this image to the 3D what it's gonna look like. But I have a feeling it's gonna be really cool.
And it's just concept, because like you can look at them, they all have freaking rocket boots with like rockets shooting at, and like we don't know that that's actually going to be glowing, right? Or it might not even exist because it's just concept art. So,
please let it activate when I jump. Just when I jump.
Oh yeah,
in general.
That'd be great. I'd like that.
Sprint.
Oh, that'd be cool too. Yeah.
Yeah, the hunter stuff. I mean, I'm a hunter, so I think it looks great overall. It's got the old school like pilot goggles, as if you weren't in an actual cockpit and you had to deal with the wind head on and all that type of look to it. So
they all look pretty good.
I think it's a good choice.
Similar theme. I really like the Titan's jacket. Like like a light jacket.
Yeah, that is
from
cool.
World War II.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it looks cool. And that was most of the big stuff from the 12. We didn't mention that Perfect Paradox is coming back, so the Saint 14.
Yeah.
Shoddy rapid fire frame. Do you know much about that gun in the first place, Lego, from a PvP perspective or otherwise?
I feel like I remember the
Yeah.
range being able to push really high on it, like with the rework because of certain perks we're getting there. Like I want to say, no, maybe it was just because it had opening shot on it, which opening shot and slide shot, just that combo is always just incredible for a shotgun, because you put that on in a range masterwork and range it out, you're at 95 range, you know, on this rapid fire frame, which is kind of crazy.
That does sound kind of crazy.
But you know, rapid fires haven't really been in the meta, so I'm curious to see how it plays out. Yeah, we'll just see.
But that's coming back.
Yeah, but it's coming back. I am bummed. Where's the fusion rifles, Bungie? Over 90
Act 3
weapons since Scatter Signal in Season of the Wish, with only one fusion.
You mean the Lacuna or whatever?
Not many.
Yeah, Lacuna's the only one. That's the only one since because we got that prophecy rework. We got mid-season update during that season. We got there was something else, one of the events, and then after that, the final shape, and then the Vex season. And out of all of that, 5 different weapon drops, we got 1 fusion. Just saying. Okay. In rant.
I would suggest to also bring up, I made a few notes of the Edge Magazine interview feature. Games Radar covered that since they're sister sites.
Oh, that was an interview?
Yeah, that released in the mag. Do you want to cover that? I could go over a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I think Fran just
he bugged
Fran
out.
just got COVID again.
Oh no!
I was gonna say the woke mind virus got him.
I really thought the way it was frozen on you, I really thought you were just reading the article. It looked like you were just staring at the screen.
Dude, I thought Briar's internet cut again, and then I looked and my screen said trying to connect, and I yelled off camera. Are you kidding me? All right. Edge Magazine, Games Radar. You can check out the full breakdown on there. But I made a couple interesting notes. It is much bigger, but I think I pulled out the stuff that's worth noting and talking about. Robbie Stevens, the game director, the big thing, I guess, so there's a number of people that talk in the feature, but they do address more so, like, they've talked about episodes. They're reinforcing that, hey, we are going places. So I made a couple notes about how they see it as bigger. They talked a little bit about how Prismatic was big. And I think there's a hint about the future, but that's a Fran note, and I'm curious what you guys think. This would be after the Dreadnought then. So anyway, what I found interesting in the very beginning, they said that they're prepared to, quote, break the rules of the universe going forward, which is someone a lot less informed on the lore. They were talking about how the seeds, the echoes allow them to start breaking rules, which, I think they felt a little more constrained in the last 10 years about all this stuff they kind of set up and had to move on from. And that was from Robbie Stevens, the game director. Ben Womack, the combat arena lead, had also noted something we speculated on a lot, that making new combatant factions is extremely time consuming. And went on to say, frankly, that it's a very big decision when they do stuff like that. Prismatic is here to stay. I thought that was kind of a good note that I haven't thought about much, but they have like a bunch of ideas, quote, a lot of options is something they talked about.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I was looking at the Prismatic lineup, and I was like, yeah, I guess, are they going to launch like a new nade?
Oh yeah, they said they would.
That's
they
true,
did?
yeah.
Yeah, they said they were going to give.
It's set up.
I don't know if it's going to be like the nades from other classes, like, and transpose them into all the other classes to let you pick and choose, or it's going to be something completely new. I'm not sure.
Yeah, what are so the Hunter shoots out, the Solar and Stasis Unicorn Sticky Nade, Trip Mine. What are the other two?
Warlock has the Void to Ice one, pretty sure, and then Titan has the one that suspends, and I want to say, is it? Yeah, I just remember it suspends. I don't remember what else it does.
Okay, yeah, sorry, because I only play Hunter. I'm sorry, chat. But that's a good reminder. Maybe that's what they do. But I actually wouldn't be surprised if they just launch like newer ones. But either way, I thought that was exciting because I do feel like although the class items give you opportunity, we do need more stuff to play with in there. They're like expanded. I'd be curious if they even launch more stuff into the class item realm. Even right? Maybe that's an opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, again, they reinforced with the whole like break the rules thing that these echoes and seeds is meant to signal a, quote, new beginning. They also note that episodes are more like, when commenting on episodes versus seasons, they're more like 9 content drops throughout the year, is what Robbie Stevens said.
Yeah.
So not just like 4 seasons. They're not looking at it as just 3 things so much as because of all the acts. That's what that's referencing. And they did this was the big news that came out of it that a number of fans I think already heard about. But Act 3 will have one of the biggest exotic missions that they've ever built, says Bungie. That quote, it was only possible because of this new content cadence. And that final
Interesting.
quote there is, "It wouldn't have been possible in the past."
That's so interesting. And that's just, goes to credit what we were saying 2 weeks ago whenever we were talking about, hey, we just need to like give this way of presenting content a bit of time because we haven't really
Yeah.
seen it fully paid off until we see a whole act completed. And then we can see what they've been able to do because of this release schedule. And so, yeah, if that, if Act 3 comes around and it's just like, more of the same, but given they're saying this is the craziest exotic mission, it's pretty promising.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was good, just like to hear from the game directors and such, reinforcing the stuff that we don't know yet, obviously, and kind of sharing a little bit. They also did say, quote, "Episodes are massive, massive new stories." The fact that they said massive, quote, massive, two massives in there, new stories.
Massive new stories.
They clearly don't see episodes as like just small little drip feed stories.
Makes me really interested in this next Act 2, what we're going to get. Even just this next section.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, based on my experience with Destiny and mini games before that, is that episode 1 will have some solid foundational stuff like this. Probably is going to culminate real nicely with that exotic mission where people realize, like, oh, dang, Bungie's still going hard, right? The feelings that we were sharing during the final shape, like, okay, they cooked. I think that, in other words, I feel like Act 2 and 3 is where things will ramp up. We just kind of tend to see that from a resource perspective. It's hard for them to do everything at once, and they're just learning things now with episodes.
Not only that, but like there's also the other side of it that's like they probably in the room whenever they were planning all this out was like, well, we're having final shape drop, so like we don't want to give them the craziest thing in Act 1. Like we want to save some crazy for Act 2, Act 3, and so on. Like I would think that you would load more onto Act 2 and Act 3,
right?
Because we're all busy with final shape. I'm still busy with final shape stuff, but I know it's easy to look at this and be like, oh, this is all an act is this. So we'll see.
Yeah. And I don't know if they clarified yet when we now know there is an exotic mission coming. That's something on a roadmap we can look forward to. But that's the thing. We don't have a roadmap, but it brings up the like, wait, where are the next dungeons for the dungeon key going to happen? And are they going to do raid reprisals? And I don't know if
some stuff to learn about in terms of like dungeons and raids, because we don't know at all right now. We know absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I think it's just speculation because we know a big exotic mission is coming, that I think people are speculating it's 2 episodes, Revenant and Heresy, 2 and 3 that would have the dungeons maybe, which is not, it's hard to parse because you normally get them, in the second season and the last season? I don't remember now, but.
Yeah, I am curious.
Would be nice to know. They should just say it at this point, but I mean, I know they're kind of holding their cards a little.
They are hoarding them a little, yeah. Especially with, I guess, so much is changing in terms of the way that they're doing episodes that, yeah, I'm not surprised that they're kind of holding some stuff.
Yeah, so the last notes from this feature interview were that, quote, they're spinning off the very last parts of the final shape. And they kind of talk about it in the story of like how the next season is kind of like they've talked and done a lot of stuff with Elixir, and there just hasn't been a lot of opportunity to like really wrap up more stuff in there. And I think they're focused on that. And then we do know with the Dreadnought and that and Heresy, they just sort of hinted that it will be a big deal. But the biggest thing I want to put a little Fran tinfoil hat is that Robbie, the game director, had said a quote that says the episode, let me see here. It lets them take this opportunity here to go back to some existing locations across Seoul. Again, he's saying, I believe in Heresy, it lets them go back to some existing locations across Seoul. Seoul being the planetary system we're in, right? It's
right.
The only one.
Yep.
Doesn't that sound like he basically is saying that you're going to go somewhere else that's not Seoul?
I hope so.
It does, yeah.
Why would you need to go back to some existing locations, which is just revisiting stuff from the past? Yeah. I don't know. I'm reading into it way too much, right? But to go back to some existing locations across Seoul sounds like Watts had been putting out there for a long time too. It's like, we're taking the Dreadnought bus to somewhere else.
Dreadnought bus time.
That was the last thing I noted from.
And they could totally build you don't have to build an entire location. You can build, say if we go to Tora Bottle, right? You can build like a portion of Tora Bottle and let us go there and experience the thing that happened in Tora Bottle. You don't have to do like an entire massive open area for it to be outside of the solar system and have it be a new place.
Yeah.
So.
And in theory, that would be,
Good stuff.
Frontiers. We still don't know Destiny 2 Frontiers. That's next year, whether that's next June or that's next September. We don't know yet, if at all. But yeah, that was it. Some interesting notes from that. Go check out the interview again. And Games Radar has a write-up, but it's part of Edge Magazine. $3.99.
Cool.
Like the paper version of Edge Magazine? Do they still do a paper version?
You can buy them.
I have the paper version for Elden Ring because I was like, I want the paper version of Elden Ring.
Yeah. Yeah. If I had the funding I would support more of that if I could. So I respect those. But you can get digital editions. You can just subscribe, get digital PDF editions, etc.
I don't like reading magazines on digitally though. Like an iPad,
go to your library and print them out.
Okay. I do okay on the iPad where it still feels like you're like holding something and swiping something. But I'd much rather like get a magazine. Like
That's why the Kindle's popular, Briar, because you still have like a physical thing in your hand. It's not a total like looking at my computer or looking at my phone.
Yeah,
you can do all that.
I still like going to Barnes and Noble and like
Barnes and Noble's
through
great.
The magazine.
You have a Barnes and Noble?
Our Barnes and Noble is being carried by manga and Japanese figurines. Really? Yeah, like anytime I go to Barnes and Noble, it might be because of where I live. Seattle is full of a lot of
that could be
certain types of but I go there and like everywhere else is pretty chill in Barnes and Noble, but the manga section is popping. And then they have goods from Japan as well, so you can find like character chopsticks, and they have all that kind of stuff there. So, yeah.
Shout out to Japan, really.
There's also a Starbucks in there, which probably helps.
Yes, that does help.
That does help. You go buy a book, get your Starbucks, have a nice little chill time.
I don't even think they make you buy the book. You can just like
you don't
grab
have
a book
to
off a shelf and start reading while you're at
Starbucks. You can just grab it, which is pretty nice.
And you can set that sweaty ice, plastic cup on a nice book and let it dry off. It always surprised me when they were, all those drinks that are clearly like sweating and condensing, and you're in a bookstore. I'm like, this is a disaster waiting to happen. Like, but they had to,
Any other Bungie stuff we want to go over?
I don't think so. Surprised there's that much.
I've been playing Street Fighter 6 again. The new season has started.
Elden Ring, still.
So, look, Elden Ring is a major time commitment, and I want to put that time. Like, I want to have that time.
Fran's nodding, but Fran's like, I can't sign up for hundreds of hours, and loads up Horizon, which he has 100 hours in.
That is very taken out of context for starters. All right. If I'm going to do it.
I saw your Street Fighter.
For the first time, Briar and I are aligned, which is like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. Do I believe Briar's actually ever going to play? No, but I am. And that's the difference.
I don't think you are, Fran, because Neo 2 never played. Lies of P never played. I don't think you like Souls games anymore.
You didn't play Lies of P,
to be proven incorrect.
Almost every item and achievement, 425 hours in Elden Ring. I don't need to defend myself. It will happen. Briar.
No, you got to defend yourself.
Topical change.
He chose Horizon over Elden Ring, guys. Just,
I had COVID. I got there's no
He's like,
sympathy.
I'm going to play it after July 4th.
I don't think, if I was feeling sick,
reason,
I don't think I would play Elden Ring either. Like, I would,
Shadow
of the Elden.
Now I'm playing Horizon. Now, God knows what else. He's
Don't
not
you
going to play,
talk
guys. Mark my words. He's not going to play Elden Ring.
Of Horizon.
Mark my words.
All right. You should be doing a new game plus. You're out there playing New Human and Weeb games.
Oh,
okay?
am I playing different
Where's your
games,
respect?
Fran, when I'm on a gaming podcast?
Is Elden Ring not good enough for you? That's what I'm
playing
hearing.
Elden Ring right now. I'm in New Game Plus, playing Elden Ring DLC. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing an RP playthrough in Elden Ring using new weapons that you get at the end of the game.
Nice.
That's what I've been doing.
Anyhow, Street Fighter 6. Season 2 launched. They brought back M. Bison, classic boss character. They gave him a hell of a cool new look where he's been resurrected and
He
he's
looks very
shrouded
cool.
in like kind of like a robe that's all raggedy. He's riding this like dark specter of a horse, and he's more fun to play, I think, than any M. Bison since Street Fighter 2. Like he's less of a charge-based character. He's more like a movement-based character, which makes him, I think, a lot more fun. Also, they brought Akuma back recently, which this is the first time I've played since they brought Akuma back. And Akuma is always just a crazy-ass fun character. He's got lower health than like the other characters, but he does more damage, which makes him kind of a glass cannon. They also got all sorts of, like this game, Street Fighter 6 is chock full of microtransactions. It is just maxed out. But it just doesn't bother me that much. Like it bothers me like when I think about like when I used to buy a fighting game, you used to unlock all this stuff by playing, and it was like a reward for getting better and for playing the game. But now obviously that's changed a lot. It's like this is how they fund a lot of the continuing development on a game like this, where you know, normally when I was a kid, when I played Street Fighter 2 on Super Nintendo, I bought Street Fighter 2, and then I bought Champion Edition where they introduced like 4 characters, and then I bought Super Street Fighter 2 where they the bosses, yeah. Then I bought Super Street Fighter 2 where they introduced more characters. So I bought that game 3 separate times on the Super Nintendo, whereas with Street Fighter 6, like at least I buy in the game once and I'm buying, DLCs. But I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun. I think that game is really good. It's, Evo is coming up, I believe, the weekend.
I thought it was after next week or something.
I think it's the weekend right after we do GCX, actually. So, watching Evo is one of my favorite things. Even though it's in the middle of the summer, I will sit at my house and watch Evo like all weekend long because it's just so exciting.
Next weekend.
Yeah, great. Not this weekend coming up, but the
19th.
Yeah,
correct.
Awesome. But yeah, Street Fighter 6 still great. I play on PlayStation 2 and PC for some reason, just depending on if I'm upstairs or downstairs. But my rank is different. I'm much higher rank on PlayStation for some reason than I am on PC. And I don't know if that means that like I've just gotten lucky or if like the player base is like better on PC than it is on PlayStation. Could that be?
Do you tend to partake in any substances or drink in one location versus the other?
I plead the fifth. Do not want to incriminate myself.
Because maybe you're just chilling in one location.
The
other one, you're all try hard.
There may be a difference there.
Could be.
The living room, I'm a little more public. In the office, I'm a little more private.
I think I got him, Chet. I think so.
We're figuring it out.
That could be. Yeah, that game's awesome.
Nice.
I'm still really enjoying it. I will get to some Elden Ring. It probably won't be the fall at this point, though. Like it's just how it is.
It just blows my mind.
Throwing her hands up.
It blows my mind. I don't get it. Dude, I just don't get it.
When Elden Ring hit my life, like it was a month of me absolutely no lifing that game. Like it was like wake up.
Enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yes, I loved it.
I mean, you don't have to do that.
No, I'm planning on loving it again. It was not a choice to no life it. I just did it because that was how much that game meant to me. So I'm saving that for like a time where it's gonna fit into my life, where I
exactly.
Well, I think it's unfortunate that we are not talking about Elden Ring while Elden Ring is hot.
I hear
That's
you.
all.
I understand.
I think it's very.
I agree with that from a content perspective.
The way Briar talks about it, though, it makes it sound like. Did y'all watch Parks and Rec with Ron Swanson whenever he dates Tammy?
Yeah.
And it's like whenever he's with her, he just no lives it.
Yeah, just completely like.
That's it. You're off the rails.
And he's like, I can't get in right now. You don't understand.
Yeah. Who's been playing what? Anybody else been playing anything good?
I've been playing Once Human.
Yeah.
So
what's that?
So Once Human, it came out on what day was that? Tuesday.
Yeah, it was this week.
So it did have a bunch of betas before where people were giving a lot of feedback, and it's definitely quite different from beta.
That's what I was
But
gonna ask. What's
yeah,
the how does it feel compared to what the beta was like?
it feels great. So the game is it's a multiplayer. You can play
So much
solo
for
if you
hanging out
want.
with
Like
me.
it's very fun solo if you're worried about not having people to play with. But it's a multiplayer co-op. You can say it's an MMO survival looter shooter. Um, so the idea is that you are a metahuman, is what you're called. Don't fully understand what that means, but it means that we can have these things called deviants in our backpack, and they have different powers. So you have some combat deviants where they can like highlight weak points, and they'll you do more damage to weak points. You have other ones that have like big AOE freezes that they do. There's another one who's just like a straight up full size samurai who blink strikes at enemies and cuts them down.
Cool.
And then you've got like other ones where they'll heal you and give you some protection. And then you have other ones that you can have just in your house and they'll gather materials for you. They'll cut down wood and all that stuff. So there's a bunch of these that you can find and they do various different things. And you just attune yourself to one of them, basically. So you can take them out with you into the world. But yeah, it's free to play. You pick a server and you just play for free. So I've made a mansion of a house. Mylan keeps because Mylan's house is right above mine. So he's like, I looked out my window and I was like, what is this? What happened? What happened to my view? It's gone.
I didn't know.
The
Somehow I
orbits.
missed it. It was free to play. That's
It is
awesome.
totally free to play, which I don't understand, but
Yeah.
you know, we'll see how it ends up being. But I probably have 25 hours in since Tuesday. And I am loving it. The shooting feels really good. The building houses is really, really nice. They even have a way for you to just use a pre-built kind of blueprint for a house. Like if building's not your thing, but you want a
Oh, that's
good
nice.
looking, functioning home, you can just do that. Easy peasy. And I think that's kind of where they've captured me and a lot of other people who I do like survival games, but I tend to fall off of them pretty quickly. And the thing that this game does is they make it to where the survival stuff does not have a lot of friction at all. Like you hit a tree, every hit gives you 13 wood. Doesn't give you one, it gives you 13. So I can go outside, like just outside the house, cut down 2 trees, and I have enough wood for pretty much anything that I want to build.
Oh, that's
So there's
nice.
not really any time that I'm like, oh, guys, I got to go and collect wood for an hour or whatever to go and make the thing. You kind of just always have it as long as you're, chopping down some trees here and there. You're pretty much good. Things also respawn really quickly. So again, I haven't needed to really leave my house location because I can just go outside, chop down the tree, and it'll be back within a few minutes. Really, it's really short.
That stuff really
They
bothers
also-
me too, Watts. It's like when we were playing,
Yes.
was it Valhalla when we were playing?
Yeah.
Valheim.
Valheim.
Valheim, sorry. That's what kept
You know
me.
what you did. Just gonna act like you didn't absolutely roll over me intentionally with a couple tree logs.
No, I
Oh, yeah,
got
that was
trolled,
hilarious.
literally. So
But that I feel the same as you, Watts. It's like it's okay at the beginning when I'm just getting used to the game and exploring, but like
yeah.
20 hours in, it's like I don't want to be chopping these trees anymore. Like, can we automate this or something at some point?
Yeah. So they get you into it really quickly without having to chop a bunch of stuff. The intro's also really nice. They've changed that quite a bit from the beta. They get you into the game really quickly. They get you shooting really quickly and engaging in combat and seeing what bosses look like. They also do not wait to give you the fun stuff. So, for example, like a bike that you can drive. You can
Bicycle
get that right
or a
away,
motorcycle?
and
A hog.
a motorcycle. Yeah. Yep. And it has a radio too, and the music's really good. And they just give that to you through a quest, a really early quest. They just give it to you. You don't even have to make it. You just get it. So all of these things they've just done that it takes away so much of the like, well, in 10 hours I'll have a really cool house and I'll have like these things to decorate with and I'll have a cool gun. They give you that stuff quite quickly.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, it gets you invested into everything quickly. And like you said with Briar, with the automation of some stuff, you can get the little deviants that will end up just gathering stuff for you, while you're not at home. So it does end
Perfect.
up being a bit more automated as well. And yeah, I think it's really, really, really fun. And they're gonna have seasons. The way that they kind of do stuff at the moment is they kind of have acts, I guess, like what Destiny's doing now. And then the next act unlocks, which unlocks like more boss fights, more areas, and then the next one, then the next one. That happens for 6 weeks. And then a new season comes out, which adds like entirely new content.
How's the diversity of like, because when the beta first came out, like seeing the giant walking hand bus thing, I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? And then like I'm just curious, like as the game progresses, like playing the actual game, has there been more unique stuff playing it that you're like, oh, this is so weird and cool? Like has that part of it kept your attention? Or is it more like focused on like the house building and collecting and like making your space is more the draw?
I really like the theme of the game. So yeah, there's like we fought one boss today and one kind of mini boss. And one of them is like a big tree and there's a woman inside of the tree, but you can only see her when she's like attacking you and you shoot her in the tree and that does crit damage. Another one was like a spider woman that we were fighting as well. So their designs are really, really good. Like it kind of reminds me of Remnant in a way. And if anyone's played Scarlet Nexus, it's quite similar to that as well, where it's like this sci-fi horror kind of vibe to it. There's also like telekinetic skills that you have. Like you can grab like there's an enemy that has a flashlight for a head and you can kill them and you grab their flashlight and you can use that against enemies. So there's lots of like really cool. I just love the theme a lot. The themes are cool. It's like creepy, cool sci-fi stuff. And I definitely like that a lot. So I'm excited to see what else there is. We've come across like public events where someone was you're basically turning one item into another and it attracts a lot of tough enemies. So you had all these people kind of nearby on the server running to this area to protect this spot. And that was really cool. And Mylan loves to talk on his hot mic to people. So he's just like talking to people and they're responding back. And he's like, heals on me, heals on me.
How many people can you have like load up together on a server?
I don't know actually. Yeah,
I
I'm
read
not sure what
I
the
read you
server
could have
limit is.
8, but I wasn't sure like
8 is your hive. So there's a couple
Okay.
different things. There's like 4 for a team, and then hive is like almost kind of like a bigger team, and then you have warband, which is 30 people, which is like a clan, and then you of course have like random people that are on the server who can just come and find stuff. But anytime there's like an event happening, it is on the map and you can see it. There was one event where I don't really know what was happening, but it was kind of like an infection PvP game mode where some people had a jellyfish on their head and then some people didn't, and you were like fighting each other. Don't know what was going on there. But it's like what you said earlier, Lego, where the beginning of a game where you have no idea what's going on and no one knows what the hell is happening is so much fun because I just happen across this stuff and I'm like, what is that? What's going on? But they also have world bosses, like huge, massive world bosses. So it's, hey, even if I ended up playing this game for free and I've put like 30 hours into it and I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like that is a lot of time and I'm nowhere near done. It's really fun. And then today, we were playing with a group of 4. One of our teammates had made a Jeep. And we were all got in the Jeep driving around shooting aliens. I was able to check I was organizing my backpack while he was driving us around. Yeah, it's really, really good. I've had an incredible time with it.
Neat.
I think I'm gonna try this out. Just the monster design alone. Like even if I don't like the activity or whatever, it just sounds so interesting.
Yeah, the monster design is very, very cool. And the gear is really cool as well, honestly. Like obviously it's a looter. So anytime I found something, I've been excited about it. Whether it's a weapon, armor, you can find like blueprints randomly in the wild to make like furniture, and you can find wallpaper and all sorts of stuff in the wild. So I'm always excited to find stuff. And you can find the little deviants, which is almost kind of like Pokemon, because you walk around and you see one of them. It is like Pokemon, and it says like the securement rate, so how likely you are to be able to capture them. And you go up to them and you can capture them, and it's just really fun. It's just a good time. And I love the designs of the armor and the weapons too. They've all looked really good. And you can really start getting into some build crafting here, where you've got like burn damage, and then you can get armor that adds stacks to your burn damage, so you do more damage with when you're wearing that armor. And yeah, I'm excited to see how deep you can kind of go with the build crafting, because I'm seeing it already. And I really haven't done much in my 30 hours because I'm kind of doing like the main campaign with Mylan. So I've just been running around doing whatever. But yeah, it's been really fun. There's fishing too if you want to fish.
Ooh.
You can put fish in a fish tank, or you can cook them,
So
or you can do both.
Could you cook them in the fish tank?
I don't think you cook them.
Take a flamethrower out. And just...
Well, that
There are
just seems
chainsaws.
practical.
There are chainsaws.
That's how I do it.
You cut down trees.
And
Chainsaw is good too.
it says it's going to be available on mobile at some
Yes.
point with
Yes.
cross-platform progression. So like if you play on PC,
Mhm.
you can move it to your phone later. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
which is great for a
That's
game like
dangerous.
this.
Yeah, it is dangerous. That's exactly what I was thinking.
I'm definitely wanting to play all the time, even if it's just like I'm gonna go get some materials and like unlock some more things that I can build, and then I'm looking at things that I could build, and I'm like, oh, I need to go get this material, and then it's a loop, many loops, because you have the survival loop, but you also have the looter shooter loop, and like dungeons and raids and bosses, and yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
very
and they're
fun.
asking
You
in
should play.
chat, is it on PS5 or Xbox? No, it is not
No,
announced
it's
for
not.
consoles yet. Yeah.
Unfortunately, they are working on controller support for PC. So maybe when they get that like super locked down, they can start thinking about consoles if it ends up being a successful thing. Might end up being a thing they could do. The monetization wise, there has been nothing that's pay to win. It's all been cosmetic, like cosmetics for your guns, gun skins, character skins. There's also something kind of what Genshin does, where you can pay $4.99 a month and you get like this. You get some things immediately, and then you get some things that you unlock throughout the season. It's kind of like having a subscription almost, where you just pay $4.99 a month and you get some little extras while you're playing. They do have a battle pass, again, just cosmetic stuff in there, emotes, skins. But even though there's like skins for armor, like cosmetics, and for your weapons, I haven't felt like it's taken away from what armor and weapons look like in the game at all, which I think is a very hard balance to hit. Because at the moment, my character is wearing like a mixture of some stuff that I got from that's just a cosmetic, and some stuff that I got in the game. It's all a mixture of stuff. So I think that it all looks cool.
I'd be skeptical of that in the long run, because almost no game, or I can't even think of one, that you don't eventually look at the story like, okay, that's like way better. Or you start seeing people with stuff, you're like, it's way better. I bring this up as like someone who went through the same thing in Diablo 4 once. I was like, actually, they said they weren't going to like, not have good stuff in the game. Like, this looks pretty good. And then next thing I knew, I was like, okay, I always bring it up on the show. There was like a Game of Thrones looking set.
Well, here's the thing, like, Fran. Here's the thing.
Better.
Here's what you do. You sell cowboy or cowgirl outfits. You sell super kawaii cheerleader outfit. You sell Japanese schoolgirl with a kitsune mask on her head outfit. And then it's like, you're gonna have this, and then the armor in game is more like rugged.
Right,
like,
separate the two, yeah.
Yeah, so it's so far they seem to be hitting a really good balance. And even in like the battle pass is not super expensive either. And the battle pass will give you a bunch of cool stuff in it, so you don't have to just buy the skins.
Yeah. And that's what I was gonna say. It's a free game, so there's that is a big distinction. But then therein lies the question too. It's like, what do you get in a pass? And again, when I always land on, I'm like, man, the pass is pretty decent. And then it's always what's in the store is like 1,000 times better. I'm like, all right, your best art goes in the store, So I'm not naysaying. I'm just putting out there the problem with free to play games and a reminder of like,
so far
we
they're
gotta ride
hitting
'em.
a really good, really
That's
good
good to hear, though.
balance. Really good. Because even like the things that you can get to decorate your house, like there's plenty of it out in the wild. And then there's also like free currencies that you get in game that you can then use to get different decorations and stuff like that.
That just made me think of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was basically.
The house thing made me think, like, what if Nintendo, they do DLC for Animal Crossing and stuff, but like, just imagine if they had a store of like, what's that?
They fumbled that bag so hard. That's the biggest bag fumble I've ever seen in my entire life. They never like did update for Animal Crossing.
That's because they made so much money. Like, oh, we're good for the next 10 years, you know?
Crazy.
But no, I was gonna put. I was
That
like,
is
what if they had though, like a store add-on? You know, they had all this insane stuff, and you're like, okay, the coolest stuff is in the store. People would lose
Oh,
their minds. And
another
be,
thing I
yeah.
want to bring up about it actually is really nice, which I wish Destiny would do, is you can buy individual pieces of a set that you like. So if you see a set and you're like, you know what? I can't afford the whole thing, but I do really like that mask. I'm going to get that mask. You have the option of just buying the mask. You don't have to buy the full thing. So I really like that they do that as well. I've seen a mixture of people running around with a bunch of different stuff.
Nice. I was gonna say it's too bad though, even though it's performing quite well, according to Steam concurrence at least. Once Human coming out at the same time as First Descendant. I don't think any of us checked out First Descendant
So
since the beta, right?
thing is they are quite different games. The only thing they have in common is that you loot and you shoot.
And they're free.
And that
Right.
they're free. But they are quite different in how they play. You don't have any of the survival aspects in First Descendant at all. Also, First Descendant is a hero shooter. And once Human, you make your own character, and you also have the option to get armor, right? Whereas in First Descendant, all of the way that a character looks is it's a hero, you're picking them, and you're unlocking different characters.
Like Destiny,
and then you're
right?
getting
No, it's not even like subclass type stuff like that.
No, they're heroes.
Hmm.
So if you think of a hero shooter, that's what First Descendant is. You have
Well,
you
the
have
reason I asked that is
different-
like it's nothing like Overwatch, right? It's
well, if Overwatch was a looter shooter, yeah,
a hero shooter, but yeah, I was just trying to parse the two.
But
I played the beta.
it's you have different characters that you pick, and that's your
gotcha.
character. Like those are the abilities that they have. You can get different guns, but those are the abilities that you have. That's your character. So I personally don't think I would want to be invested in a looter shooter where I can't make my own character. Like that's normally a big deal for me in these kind of games. It's a big investment. And also armor is a huge thing for me. Outfitting my characters, I get to different areas and seeing them look cooler and cooler with different pieces and being able to mix and match the armor is a huge thing for me as well.
So the loot in the First Descendant doesn't do that for you?
It's just weapons.
I'm not arguing. I just don't
know.
know.
You don't get any armor.
You don't get a different look?
I mean, you can work. I think you can maybe work towards some different
Hmm.
looks, but again, it's you're not making the character, right?
Gotcha.
And you're not going and getting like a new shirt or new pants
Right.
out in the wild.
Yeah, and again, for me, I was just pointing out that it wasn't even to suggest they were the same. It was just they're in the
They're in the same
the
vicinity.
vein,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah. Definitely.
let's just use King Gathalion as a Goth as an example. He was like wild about Once Human. Is like I'm going hard, and then First Descendant like took over, and I believe that's mostly all he's been playing right now. I think.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. People seem to have gone. I've seen a lot of reception on First Descendant go from like, yeah, it seems all right to like, oh, now it's got its hooks in me.
I think
So
from what I've
I know a lot of
seen
people are
with
digging
First
it.
Descendant, if you're someone who enjoys long grinds that are always working towards something, I think there's probably fun for you to have there. For me, that's not really my thing. I'm not really much of like an extrinsic reward person. It has to be super fun and rewarding while I'm doing it. So even if it's like, oh, I have to run this strike 10 times and then I get this thing that I want, I'm not going to enjoy running the strike those 10 times. So I'm not going to end up like sticking around and working towards other stuff. So people who like that and like the really intricate build crafting with having numbers go up and all that stuff, I think they are going to have a great time with First Descendant, and it's free. So you should definitely check it out.
Yeah. And it's on consoles,
definitely
I think.
a big thing for me is not being able. I can't get invested in just a character in this kind of game. In a PvP game, I think that's different, right? Because it's not like an RPG investment game. But when it's that kind of game where I'm looting and I'm looking for different stuff to outfit my character, I really definitely prefer making my own house, making my character look exactly the way that I want them to look, getting them armor upgrades, and yeah, it's just a really big thing for me.
Totally. Yeah, my only point was like I feel like Once Human would be getting more conversation about it because the beta had gotten so much reception. At least in my feeds, everybody's talking about the First Descendant. Not that Once Human on concurrence on Steam is doing pretty good. It's close, in
What's it
striking
at
distance
the
within.
moment?
Just 24-hour peak comparison. Once human at about 150,000 concurrents.
It's really good.
And First Ascendant at 167,000 concurrents. So yeah, I mean, definitely close just based on that. But again, First Ascendant, I think because of being on console as well, is getting a lot of the
That's a big
conversation.
deal.
So yeah, I feel like it would have been nice, in other words, if they just separated them. But maybe for exactly why you cited Watts, it's like, wow, they're really not, the same. So
It's kind of like First Ascendant is kind of like Destiny and Warframe, and Once Human is kind of like Control, Remnant, Scarlet Nexus mixed with whatever looter shooter you want to put in there.
Vision,
and then you also have the survival stuff. So some people have been like, oh, it's like The Division, and someone said The Division and Fallout 76. If you put those kind of together, it's that kind of experience. So they are quite different experiences. I probably spent, out of the 30 hours, I probably spent 10 hours building a house. So
nice.
and
That's telling.
It's really nice you come home, you check your crops, you look in your fridge, you sit out on your deck. It's kind of like a different experience. There's a lot to do outside of just the gameplay and grinding for stuff, which is nice.
Should we do some Twitter questions?
Yeah, I think so.
I got nothing else. Unless
Yeah,
anybody played
just been
Zenless
playing-
Zero.
I have not yet. I was
We've been
going
talking.
to.
Yeah.
Been talking about Zenless Zero, saying it's quite good.
Yeah, I was gonna check
Maybe
it out. I
next
might check it out too. Before next week.
Basil says it feels like games are obsessed with hands lately. Final Shape, Once Human. What are you picking first in rock, paper, scissors? Rock, good old rock. Never.
I was gonna
Never
say
rock.
I go paper. You know why? Because everyone goes rock.
Damn.
I was gonna say I'm a paper
Again.
guy.
Most people, I think, wasn't there something that said men always go rock or something?
Oh,
I
man.
was gonna say I'm a
Studies on
paper
that.
guy.
You're a
Yeah.
paper.
I'm a paper
Yeah,
guy.
I think I always end up going paper because I think I noticed that people were always going rock. So it's like we'll get a free easy round
I'm
for
gonna
a
switch
best
it
of
up.
3.
I'm going scissors from now on.
Yes.
Still gonna lose to all those rocks, dude.
That's true.
Yeah, you are gonna lose
Damn
to
it.
the rocks.
I just want to point out, okay, Master Hand, Super Smash Brothers, amongst many other hands in games. Okay, this is not a new thing
Yeah. Elden
with
Ring.
hands, but I think you
Oh,
can
Elden
observe.
Ring's got a lot of
Oh, yeah.
hands.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What was that? What's that new game coming out that looks really trippy and's got some hands in it?
Trippy hands.
Trippy hands. I can't remember the name of it.
New game that's
I
coming
bet
out
you if you
that's
look on
trippy and
Steam,
got
it's-
lots of
Yeah,
hands.
Capcom game.
Oh, Kunitsugami.
Yes. I
Yeah.
can't believe I forgot that name.
Path of the Goddess. It has a beta. Oh, I played that, by the way.
Oh, how was it?
Yeah, I think it's really good.
Yeah.
I think it's really good. Yeah, I wasn't sure what I was gonna think about it because it's for people who don't know, it's basically like a tower defense game mixed with a third-person action game.
That sounds awesome.
It's cool.
Okay.
What's happening to Fran?
I do just want to laugh that I looked up hands on Steam, and there's a game called Hand Simulator that was released in 2017. And like, sure, it's like hands loading guns, but it's also like milking cows and like cranking a wheel. And I was like, somebody made a game where you're just doing various things with your hands.
So there's a few of those, and I think it was made initially and probably still is used for artists to see like, actual hands doing stuff.
Could be.
But then there's definitely they've tapped into the kink, I'm sure, fetish side.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
It's got very positive.
Keep the
reviews.
lights on.
Yep.
But yeah,
That's
Kunitsugami, the
hilarious.
demo is out right now. You can play it on any system. It's out everywhere. It's coming out on the 18th, so it's coming out next week officially. It's also going to be on Game Pass if anyone is interested in that. And yeah, the idea is that you go to a village and you're trying to cleanse them of this curse. It's all set in like very Japanese setting with like yokai and spirits and demons and stuff, all based in their mythology. And in the day, you're saving villagers from the corruption, and then you're giving them roles like archer or, melee guy, healer. You give them roles, and then you set them up in different places in the map for when night comes. And when night comes, they all come through the torii gates, all of these monsters, and you have to keep the princess safe, who is the one who is cleansing all of these villagers. So it's, yeah, I thought it was really good.
So
That sounds
The UI is
cool.
also really cool. like a very artsy UI. It's very, very cool. Go check it out.
I gotta point out, Psychology Today has an article talking about rock, paper, scissors and the psychology behind it. And rock and scissors are both apparently 35% chance to be thrown out, while paper is 29.6%. I don't know how this math works out, but picking paper
only
may give
suckers
you
throw
a very
paper.
slight advantage. So Watts was correct statistically.
There we go. Very slight advantage. There you go. Everybody pick paper. But don't skew the percentages.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe don't pick paper.
You've
You're gonna ruin
ruined
it. Yeah, you're ruining it.
Twisted Joystick says, thoughts on emulation? People thinks it's stealing, but if the actual game is stupid expensive, then do you go get the ROM? Been playing the ROM of Wind Waker, amazing game.
So here's my take on emulation before we get it from the master Briar. I think that if a studio, so there's a couple things. One part is like what the question is about, saying where retro games, there's a whole thing that has happened to retro games that has driven their prices to just be completely unreasonable. And the only way that you can get them is by paying those unreasonable prices. And I think that that is unfortunate that people who do not have $400 to spare on a game cannot experience that media from the past. My other thing is, if game companies are not willing to put their game on a modem system, maybe they put it on Steam so it can live forever on Steam, or they make whatever version of it, then I think that it is really good that we can preserve that gaming history, because otherwise we're just going to lose it. And I think that would be more sad than people emulating stuff.
I agree, but I mean, I wonder how much people is like, well, we're not doing it so much as it costs money. And some of these people don't even work there. They're out of work. It doesn't, you know.
What do you mean, Fran?
Like,
elaborate.
In other words, it suggests, and maybe you have the facts about it, they haven't put it on Steam because they don't want it. They want it to be $400 out in the market. Like, I don't
But
think
they're not
that's the
making
case.
money from the $400 though. It's resellers.
Why would
Well,
they want
right, but
that?
my point is there's work to get it ported. That's the whole problem.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Right.
it is a problem.
And there's nobody supporting them and like going to give them some. I'm sort of generalizing. I'm sure there's some of this,
But
but I
they're
think
not
it's more.
seeing that $400 though, the studio.
No, I agree with you. What I'm saying
No.
is you make it sound like because it's so expensive out in the market and there's not an available newer Steam version or whatever, because money would have to be put into that, right? It's like, well, maybe you should just emulate it, right? And like, I think,
Yeah, you probably should.
Yeah,
but I
probably
disagree
should.
with
Why
that,
not?
which is like, it's not the developer's fault that they're out of work. Maybe I'm just an extreme
Yeah, but
situation.
the developers aren't going to get, if you can't find that game anymore, like it's not being sold, it's
Yeah,
not
they
being
don't sell it anymore.
produced. The developers aren't getting any of that money. They're just, people would be giving that money to people who are selling
Right.
the game. So it's
Yeah,
either
and
I spend $400 with this random person on eBay, or I emulate the game. And either way, it doesn't seem to really be affecting the studio.
Yeah, I mean, it brings up the other problem though of like, why are these being resold at those prices and solving for
There's
them?
actually
But-
documentaries on it. Highly recommend
Yeah.
checking it out. But there's like a full like corrupting of the retro game.
Yeah, it's been pretty
thing.
rough out there. Like really, COVID and like
There's a couple documentaries.
the grading system that they did, and that was kind
Mm-hmm.
of run by people who are not trustworthy.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There's a whole
Yeah.
thing that happened to really make it be this way, and it's not good for people who actually care about the games and want to play the games, because the
Yeah.
people that are doing this are not any of those people.
It would seem that the prices are artificially inflated. I'm sure everybody's seen on the news, like, oh, hey, Mario 64 just sold for $100,000. I'm like, how can that be? It's like the most popular game on the N64. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It's because somebody made a false transaction. Somebody said, I will give you $100,000 for that copy so that we can get this in the news to raise prices for our grading system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a corrupted
Those-
system.
Yeah. Well, those are also packaged things and stuff as well. Right? It's not just like a copy of.
But
the
they
thing
make
sitting in a-
they charge you based on the grading.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if they grade it at $100,000, then they take more money from you for grading it.
Yeah.
It's
And
fixing-
again, I'm
it's
not
fixing
defending
the
that
price, right?
side of it.
It's fixing the price.
To be more direct, what I'm saying is, yeah, I get that side of it. I feel like that's a lot less of an issue versus people taking emulated stuff because it's a lot easier to get a hold of and not paying for anything.
Yeah.
I feel like
And
the
there
honor
is-
system,
Even with
meaning
stuff that's not available now, like Capcom just announced that they're going to do their Marvel vs. Capcom collection, right? So
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
been emulating that for, I don't know, it has not been available in any form for, I think, at least 5 years, maybe 10 years. The last time they released the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was on the
Been a long
PS3
time.
and Xbox 360, and they have not been available for a long time. But everybody who's been emulating that game or playing it on Fightcade, are they going to buy this collection now? Because they've already been playing it, right? Like, why would I pay Capcom for this? So it does make an interesting point in that regard. It's just because we haven't put it out there available for you yet doesn't mean we're not planning on it. You know, it's still our IP. So, like, I'm kind of with Watts on this one. I feel like with retro games, like, I don't know, feel pretty much free. I do pay for them still. Like I bought the fighting game collection from Capcom. I'll buy the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. I subscribe to the eShop, whatever that's called, the Nintendo, like where you can play all the NES games, Super Nintendo games.
Online.
Yeah, Nintendo
the
Online. Like I think that's
expansion pack
awesome
stuff.
because it's just so easy to just be able to like boot up, you know, something. But I also like to collect some cartridges, like NES cartridges, Super Nintendo cartridges, because it's fun to play them on actual hardware too. But some games are $1,000 and they're not available on the eShop. They're not available anywhere. Like, so am I not going to play it because I don't have $1,000 that I'm willing to spend on an NES cartridge? No, I'm going to play the ROM.
And that's I'm actually like, it makes me really sad to think about all of the media that we're going to lose because of this kind of stuff. And obviously it does take money and development time to maybe some people don't even have the code anymore and they don't have access to doing that kind of stuff. So that's where I'm like, I would much prefer that you emulate so we do not lose this game forever, where it's just gone. You just will not be able to have access to it.
It's going to be way harder for people growing up now. Like, there's going to be a time where you can't play Destiny anymore, right? Like, that's just going to happen. Right?
Yeah, it'll be offline too. That's a different problem.
Yeah, it's not an offline game. It's got to have servers.
But they brought up like, you know, I mean, there's a very big difference between, they brought up like Wind Waker, which just a comment. I'm like, it is ridiculous, right? You can only get that on Wii U and GameCube, and Nintendo I think that's right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I could be totally wrong.
Yeah, they definitely came out with a remaster on Wii U.
I mean, we haven't even had a proper.
Did they make that available for Switch?
No, I don't think so. And that's probably the example, right?
Yeah, it's just on those old systems.
But let's just assume that I don't think so. Yeah, and that's the frustration. It's like, wait, we're not just talking about a game that's kind of obscure and I'd love to check it out and you can't get it anymore. It's old. It's literally like mainline Zelda stuff, right? And so anyway, let's assume that's the situation. And frankly, it's like Nintendo is just a terrible offender. Like, I mean, I 100% agree with the frustration. Nintendo has very little excuse for not taking its cash reserves, you know, and making this happen, right? Why did they make us wait so long for something so important? But I do think, if you're in general for emulation, I'm just obviously a proponent of like, you should pay for the games, but you shouldn't be paying $500 for a game, you know? So there's a line there.
Yeah, I think generally pirating bad, emulation good.
Yeah.
So if there's like a brand new, because some people did this with Breath of the Wild, although some people did buy the game on Switch and then they played it on PC. But of course, there's going to be people who don't buy the game on Switch and they just play it on PC.
I did that with
send some love
Metroid.
over to the developers as well.
Yeah, I did that with Metroid Dread. Is I played it on my Switch all the way through, and then I played it again on PC in 4K.
Yeah, you get to have the higher frame rates. You get you get all of that stuff.
4K resolution. It looked awesome.
It's good.
Yeah, and Wind Waker went through the same thing. I think that's probably the example here. But anyway,
it's a complicated subject, though. It's not. I don't feel like it's an easy answer.
Yeah, I'm not dismissing the frustration. It's just I'm always cautious of the like one last random example. It's like whatever. Arcane Austin just went out of business because of Xbox's decisions, and like if you're out there just emulating Prey, right? Which bad example because I think you can easily buy it on Steam, but like meaning you decide, I just want to try it. It's too expensive. Like that's where the problem is, and you have you know, maybe you were doing that for years and like they could have benefited from that. And so again, I'm generalizing, but I think keep those things in mind.
I don't
if
even
you
think
don't
that
want people to go out of business.
falls under emulation at that point. I think that's piracy.
Yeah, and there's a difference, right?
I mean,
I think there is a difference. Because it can be both. It could be pirating and emulating the pirate.
It's because it's I think that's my problem is it's often a gateway into the ease. And I've been in those shoes, right? It's like my friend is like, yo, by the way, this is an emulation. This is way back in the day of it has all these things. And I'm like, well, I already own this stuff, but it's got another 100 games on the disc, you know? And I'm like, well, I'll just like sample it, but I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? So it is a gateway. It tends to be is the way I think about it. You're
Speaking
like,
of emulation, there has been some headway in people making a PS5 version of Bloodborne. So keep at it, guys. I
don't want that because you're gonna have to have a modded PS5 to even play that.
You will
right?
have to. Yeah.
I want.
Well, hopefully
PC
they can have
version.
it on PC too.
PC version. That's what I want.
Come on, Sony.
It's Sony, man. If for anyone who's been keeping up with Bloodborne talk, Miyazaki actually talked about it, and he was like, "I can't say anything because I don't want to get in trouble, but I know that lots of people at FromSoft are very, very much so wanting a PS5 Bloodborne or remake or remaster or whatever it may be. It's Sony's game. It does not belong to FromSoft, and so we're waiting on Sony to do something. I don't know why they haven't. It's free money.
I
not free money. It's a lot
so
of money.
badly for them to put the same people who did Demon Souls.
Yeah,
was it Blue Point? Was that it?
I think it's Blue Point, right?
Yeah.
God, I want them so badly to put them on that. I would love that.
Yeah, they're supposed to be working on what they call a new IP, so it seems like it wouldn't be that, you know.
Yeah. But man, I
don't know when it's gonna happen.
Demon Souls is so good.
Especially now with how popular Elden Ring is and how much that's made FromSoft like this well-known developer. If you brought out Bloodborne now,
Bloodborne would go crazy, right?
That's the thing. They know it's hard to imagine what is going on at this point, whether they've been sitting on the idea of a remake so long and they just can't find the right time, or if it's literally out there with someone.
Don't y'all like money?
They definitely do. And that's the thing I've always brought up is exactly what you guys said. Is like, why not just take what you did with like Ghost of Tsushima, 60 frames a second, it's Ghost of Tsushima. Like, why is this so complicated?
They didn't even do a PlayStation 4 like Pro update for that game.
No, I don't think so. It does not run well. It's got all sorts of problems. And so it is striking that they wouldn't take the money, in other words.
Yeah.
And just release, because people would pay hand over fist for that. And so that's why I'm like, something bigger either is sitting on the table and they're waiting for Blue Point to finish this to do it next, or maybe it's more complicated. I don't know, but it is insane.
A PlayStation 6 launch game like Demon's
Souls. I mean, at
Souls.
this point, I mean, I guess it's transcended into the like, well, it took too long. No matter what happens, though, everybody's going to go nuts when it finally does happen. It will.
Oh, yeah.
So, in that sense, they got nothing to lose.
We got a little business to attend to because GCX stream is coming up next week, and we got to kind of do a little planning for that after the show. So I'm just going to do one more question, and then we'll end the show. But thank you all for sending in questions. We really do appreciate it. Charles B. Davis says, what do you imagine your old age will be like? Still playing a ton of games, being high all the time, being grumpy at the next generation, the new generation? It's a good question.
All of the above.
Yeah.
All of the above.
Yeah. I live a little bit in fear that I'm going to get like arthritis or something that's going to like limit the games I can play in old age.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll have like mind controllers at that point.
That's what I was going to say. Is there's going to have some new devices as we age that's going to let us continue gaming and some
I'm going to have to switch to like visual novels. That would just have to be my thing is I just sit there and I just, press my dialogue options, and that'll be my gaming if I end up not being able to really use my hands.
I'll just switch to turn-based games, like real turn-based, like no timer. You just
Yep.
Yeah, I always see gaming a part of what I do, depending on physical problems that would create accessibility issues. But I have to say I do have just the same passion in general for like movies and TV, and like I always envision myself having this huge list of like, oh, finally, you know, if I ever have the time, and even when I'm old. I think that's the problem with the question. It assumes that we're just like well-to-do, have all the time in the world, and everything went swimmingly. And I'm
open
actually, I actually don't think that will happen. So, you know, I guess I'm less optimistic. I'm going to be sitting around playing games, even though I'm old. So, we'll see.
On the Tefty phone call today, one of the topics of conversation was colonoscopy. So, you know, we're all getting older.
Preparing for one of those
It's a game in itself.
Awful. I'm not excited.
Okay, quick story. Real quick. I went out to get the mail one day, and there were a couple of boxes. There were small boxes. I would say like 6 inches by 6 inches, like square boxes. And I'm like, what are these? I wasn't expecting anything, but there's 4 people who live in this house. So like, boxes come that aren't for me. So I see one of them is addressed to my wife. One of them is addressed to me. So I'm like, all right. I open the one that's addressed to me. And what I realize it's a kit for you to poop into and ship your poop to get a,
analysis.
like a test done. like you would do for a dog. The insurance company had sent these out and now texts us once a week to remind us to poop in this bag and ship it to them.
Oh dear.
I should have known this was going through the mail. It just never crossed my mind.
Man, everybody poops. That's why if you're in the delivery business, when it says handled with care, you might want to think twice.
Wear gloves, guys. Wear gloves out there. Yeah.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
What a great capper.
Welcome to DCP. Yeah.
Yeah, welcome.
Something for the butt end of the show.
They used to tell you don't have to get
Fran.
colonoscopy until you turn 50. Now I think they say you should start when you're like 35.
I don't think insurance covers though until you're like mid 40s.
Oh, so really? Okay.
It really comes down to what your insurance supports. Technically, you should. I mean, any preventative care when it comes to cancer and anything else.
Is it like something we can do at home? Like if I do you, will you do me?
Definitely not. You clearly have not had one yet. I haven't yet either, but you get hardcore put under, and like it's a very safe and careful procedure. I'm not gonna be trading anesthesia with you at home, Briar.
Briar won't be safe with you, Fran?
We get enough cocktails. We can get them.
Briar's got anesthesia. He's got a poop box out in the corner. I was just like, you know what? I gotta bounce.
This is not my scene, man.
Exactly.
All right, let's wrap it up there. Thank you guys all for joining us. We'll see you next week. Have
next week.
Yes.
Next week we will not have a normal show because our GCX block is during our podcast time. So you can find us over on the GCX Twitch channel. We'll be doing our 4-hour block of ridiculousness that we usually do, raising lots of money for the kids. So if you can come over and support the charity cause, it's raising money for St. Jude Children's Hospital, which is always an incredible cause. So please do stop by. And Briar, you will be uploading it to YouTube, right? I'll
upload it to YouTube. I don't know if I'll upload it as a podcast because I don't think it'll really work as like a audio medium. But I'll definitely upload it to YouTube. And can we share one of the incentives we're doing with the podcast?
Go for it.
So we're gonna do one of the incentives we're gonna do is if you donate a certain amount, you're gonna be able to instantly choose a podcast topic, and we're gonna instantly change over and start a podcast that topic. I don't know how long we'll do it for, like 2 minutes or 5 minutes. I don't know how long we'll do it for.
We'll pick a time.
Yeah, it's got to be clean enough that we can do it on St. Jude's channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
is poop in a box?
Yeah.
We're willing to like
that's health.
Walk that edge, I think.
That's preventative health, Fran.
So yeah, you'll be able to pick basically whatever you want.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it.
It'll be fun.
It should be really fun.
Yeah, we'll have a good time. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.